So, imagine you are sitting in a lecture hall. You're staring at the whiteboard. Your hand is just moving rhythmically across your notebook, capturing every single word the professor says.
Right, the notes are immaculate, perfect handwriting.
Exactly. Or maybe, you're walking your usual route to the library, taking that same left turn past the science building, stepping over the exact same crack in the pavement.
Yeah, totally on autopilot.
Right. And then suddenly a door slams somewhere, or like a bird flies past your face, and you just snap to attention.
It's a jolt.
It is.
Yeah.
And in that startling fraction of a second, you realize with absolute horror that you haven't only been, awake for the last hour.
Yeah, your body was in the room, but you weren't.
Exactly. Your hand was transcribing the lecture, your feet were navigating the campus.
Yeah.
But the conscious observing entity you consider to be your actual self, were just entirely absent.
It leaves a very specific kind of chill, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
When you realize your physical form has just been operating this highly complex piece of machinery, like driving a car on the highway or taking academic notes without any conscious oversight.
It's terrifying when you actually think about it.
It really is. But most of us just blink, shake off the unease, maybe blame it on a lack of sleep or a caffeine crash, and we just immediately dive back into the stream of our day.
Right. We treat it as like a biological glitch, like a dropped Wi-Fi signal in the brain or something.
Exactly.
But the material we are doing a deep dive into today suggests is something far more profound and, frankly, a lot more terrifying.
Much more terrifying, yeah.
Today, we are looking at the work of the philosopher Merab Mamardashvili. Specifically, we're looking at his lectures titled Conversations on Thinking.
And his argument, and this is a big one, isn't that you just momentarily zoned out.
No, not at all.
His argument is that this state of absence, this unconscious mechanical drifting, is actually the baseline state of human existence.
Which is just wild to consider.
It is. He's saying that most of the time we are not thinking. We are just asleep with our eyes open and our bodies are just running out the clock.
Okay, so let's really unpack this, because Mamardashvili, he presents a pretty uncompromising view of human consciousness, right?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
He is entirely uninterested in the comfortable illusions we build for ourselves.
Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat it.
Not even a little.
Oh, yeah.
To understand his perspective, we really have to look at this incredibly stark metaphor he uses to describe this baseline state of automated living.
Right, the medical condition.
Yes. He compares the way most of us move through our daily lives to a condition historically known as St. Vitus's dance.
Right, which I actually had to look up when I first read the sources.
Yeah.
Because St. Vitus's dance is an older term for synonyms chorea, I believe.
That's right. It's a neurological disorder.
Yeah, and it manifests as these rapid, uncoordinated jerking movements, primarily in the face, hands, and feet. So your limbs move, they perform these complex actions, but there's no conscious intent behind them.
Exactly. The brain's motor control is firing off signals, but the driver is not steering the wheel, so to speak.
Right.
And this physical reality of the condition serves as a bridge to a psychological argument. Mamardashvili asks us to picture a human being trapped in the throes of this disorder.
Okay.
Their arm raises, their fingers twitch in a specific pattern, their foot taps out a rhythm. To an outside observer, it might almost look like a bizarre avant-garde dance.
Right, like they're doing it on purpose.
Exactly. But the tragedy of the condition is that the person isn't choosing to dance. The body is moving to a rhythm dictated entirely by a mechanical glitch.
Wow.
The terrifying image he conjures is that of a living, breathing human soul locked inside this malfunctioning mechanism.
Yeah, and the phrase he uses in the text, which is just brutal, is a living squirrel trapped inside the machine.
It's quite a visual.
That visual is going to haunt me for a long time.
Yeah.
Just imagine you are that squirrel. You're trapped behind the eyes of your own body.
Just watch.
Yeah. You're watching your own hands reach out, perform actions, participate in conversations, but you are completely paralyzed on the inside. You're just screaming silently.
That silent scream is really the crux of his philosophy here. Mamardashvili is arguing that the vast majority of our societal routines are a form of St. Vitus's dance.
So, like, everyday stuff.
Exactly. Think about the structure of a modern student's day, or, frankly, the day of any professional adult. You wake up when the alarm dictates.
Right.
You move to the bathroom, you perform the hygiene ritual, you commute along a designated path, You sit in a designated chair, you nod at the appropriate times.
You're just outputting the required labor.
Right, whether that's a college essay or a quarterly earnings report.
You are basically moving from box to box on a pre-printed syllabus of life.
That's a great way to put it. You are moving to an external rhythm. The institution sets the beat. The societal expectation sets the beat.
The algorithm on your phone sets the beat.
Yes. And your body and your brain are performing the dance flawlessly. But the internal self, the conscious agent capable of genuine thought, is absent.
We're just mechanisms made of living tissue.
Performing absurd involuntary rituals because that is what the environment demands of us.
Okay, let me pause you right there, though, because I feel like I need to push back on this framework just a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
Let's look at the actual mechanics of the human brain. From an evolutionary and biological standpoint, autopilot is an absolute necessity, right?
Well, yes, biologically speaking.
Because the brain consumes a massive amount of caloric energy. If I had to genuinely, intensely think about the philosophical implications of every single movement I made.
You'd be exhausted.
Right, like how to tie my shoelaces, how to chop an onion, how to format the margins on a Word document, I would be paralyzed by cognitive overload.
That's entirely fair.
My brain would just fry before breakfast.
Yeah.
So is he really saying we are supposed to be in this state of hyper-aware, agonizing consciousness every time we, I don't know, do the laundry?
No, I wouldn't interpret Mamardashvili as demanding we philosophize our shoelaces.
Okay, good. That sounds exhausting.
It would be. The biological necessity of physical habit is well documented. The brain creates neural pathways for repetitive tasks precisely to conserve that caloric energy you mentioned.
Right.
Nature designed us to automate the physical mechanics of survival. Where Mamardashvili draws the line, and where the danger truly lies, is when this biological imperative for efficiency bleeds into our internal spiritual and moral lives.
Okay. So the problem isn't that my hands wash the dishes on autopilot.
Exactly.
The problem is when my deeper life choices go on autopilot.
Precisely. The problem is when your response to a friend in crisis becomes an automated script.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Or when your decision to pursue a specific career is a reflex dictated by what your parents or your culture defined as successful, rather than a conscious, labored choice.
Right, it's not a real choice then.
Exactly. The psychological St. Vitus's dance is far more insidious than the physical one because it masquerades as deliberate living.
That makes a lot of sense. So if someone comes to me and tells me they just lost their job, or they are going through a terrible breakup,
Yeah.
and my immediate response is to just pat them on the back and say, well, you know, when one door closes, another one opens.
Right.
Or everything happens for a reason. I haven't actually thought about their pain.
Not at all.
I haven't engaged with the reality of their suffering. I just, I reached into the filing cabinet of society's pre-approved empathetic responses, pulled out the standard index card, and read it aloud.
That's exactly it.
My mouth moved, the words came out, but my soul was completely absent from the exchange. I was doing the dance.
That is the exact mechanism he is critiquing.
Yeah.
You conserved cognitive and emotional energy by utilizing a script.
I was the squirrel.
In that moment, you were the screaming squirrel. Or perhaps worse, the squirrel had just fallen asleep entirely.
Oh, man.
You surrendered your moral presence to the machinery of social convention.
This opens up a really disturbing line of questioning, though.
How so?
Well, if our interactions, our reactions, and even our major life choices can be infected by this mechanical dance, what are the things bouncing around in my head all day?
Right.
We all have an internal monologue. We all feel like we are constantly thinking. But if my choice of major or my career path was an automated reflex to an external pressure, are the thoughts I'm having about that career even my own?
That question strikes at the absolute heart of these lectures. It really does.
That's kind of a scary thought.
It is. Mamardashvili argues that if you are operating within the mechanical dance, the vast majority of what you consider to be your thoughts are not yours at all.
What are they then?
They are what he terms simulacra.
Okay, let's break down that word.
Yeah.
Because a simulacrum, the plural being simulacra, is traditionally understood as an image or a representation of someone or something, right?
Yes, that's the standard definition.
But in philosophical terms, especially the way it's used here, it's more like a ghost. It's a copy of a thing that has no original.
Right.
It's an illusion that steps in and replaces reality.
Exactly. It's a placeholder that looks incredibly convincing. Mamardashvili warns that the moment you attempt to think, the moment you try to articulate a feeling or define a problem, you run into a massive roadblock.
Which is what?
The words, the concepts, and the categories you must use to express yourself already exist.
Right.
They were built by society, refined by history, and handed down to you. He illustrates this with a wonderfully evocative metaphor. He says, you turn around to sit in your chair, and someone is already sitting there.
Oh, I love that. So you go to have a profound, deeply personal realization about your life, and you turn around, and a societal cliche is already sitting in your brain.
Wearing your clothes, holding your coffee cup.
That is so creepy, but so accurate. It is the ultimate intellectual theft, and it happens before you even realize you've been wronged.
It does.
The language we use is a pre-owned vehicle. Like when a student feels a deep, agonizing pressure in their chest about their future, they try to name it.
Right, they look for a label.
They reach for words like burnout, or imposter syndrome, or quarter-life crisis. And the moment they attach those prepackaged labels to their unique, raw internal experience, the genuine experience is overwritten by the simulacrum.
Because those words come with instructions.
Exactly. Once I decide I have imposter syndrome, society already has a 5-step listicle on how I'm supposed to feel about it and how I'm supposed to cure it.
Right.
The ghost has taken over the chair,
Yeah.
and I'm just acting out a script written by a psychology blog.
It's so true. The illusion of engaging in genuine inquiry is staggeringly powerful. In fact, the source text makes a fascinating observation about this. It says, a fool can ask a million questions that a wise man cannot answer.
I've always heard that phrase used as an insult to the fool's intelligence, like they just ask nonsensical things.
Yeah.
Is there a deeper mechanical reason for it here?
There is. The fool can ask a million questions because the fool is simply taking the existing words and categories provided by society and arbitrarily combining them like building blocks.
Oh, I see.
They are creating a pseudo-problems. And a wise man cannot answer them, because to answer a pseudo-problem using the same mechanical language is to validate the illusion. The fool's questions look like thought. They sound grammatically correct, they might even spark massive debates, but they are empty simulacra, they don't touch reality.
Let's put this in the context of something every student, or really anyone who has worked in a corporate office, understands intimately.
Okay, let's hear it.
Think about the labor of writing a final essay for a sociology class, or, drafting an end-of-year strategy report for a middle management job.
A very familiar dance.
Very familiar. You know the biases of the person grading or reviewing your work. You know the exact academic jargon or corporate buzzwords that are currently in fashion.
Right.
So you sit down at your keyboard and you construct a flawless 12-page document. You use words like intersectionality, paradigm shift, synergy, or scalable deliverables.
Just stacking the blocks.
Exactly. You perfectly arrange these concepts into a structure that you know will get an A or earn you a nod in the boardroom.
You are playing the game with the pieces provided.
Right. But here is the terrifying part. You can execute that entire process. You can be praised for your brilliance without having had a single genuine thought.
Not one.
You didn't discover anything new. You didn't struggle with the painful inadequacy of language. You simply rearranged the ghosts in a pleasing pattern. You built a house out of simulacra.
That's exactly what it is.
Now contrast that with the excruciating, deeply unglamorous labor of actually feeling a raw truth in your gut and trying to drag it into the light.
It's messy.
It's so messy. Stumbling over your words, sounding completely inarticulate because the prepackaged jargon refuses to fit the reality of what you are seeing. The jargon is smooth and easy because it's dead.
Yes.
The real thought is jagged and clumsy because it's alive.
That contrast perfectly highlights the insidious nature of the mechanical life. We are rewarded for rearranging the ghosts.
We really are.
Society gives you an A for the simulacrum, it promotes you for the buzzword-filled report, and this reward system extends far beyond academia or corporate metrics.
How so?
Well, it deeply infects how we define our own happiness and purpose. When a young person is told they must find their passion, or build their personal brand, or network for their future,
Right. Those are everywhere.
these are societal templates. They are simulacra of meaning.
It's like we all walking around wearing augmented reality glasses that we just can't take off.
That's a great analogy.
I look at my career, and the glasses project a digital overlay that says Success Metric 4.0. I look at my relationships, and the overlay says Networking Opportunity or Toxic Trait.
Everything gets labeled.
Yeah, and the interface is so clean and so ubiquitous that I forget I'm looking at a projection and I think I'm having a deeply personal crisis about my major, but I'm actually just fulfilling the exact plot points of a script titled Modern College Anxiety.
Exactly.
So how in the world do we tell the difference? If the language in my head is pre-owned, how do I know if I'm speaking or if the ghost is speaking for me?
Well, Mamardashvili offers a very specific, almost tactile method for distinguishing between the two.
Okay.
He explores this by looking at a word like peace.
Okay.
Imagine two people. One is a lazy, deeply complacent individual who just wants to sit on the couch and not be bothered.
Relatable.
The other is a rigorous philosopher seeking genuine spiritual clarity. Now, both of them will tell you they are searching for peace.
Right.
They use the exact same acoustic sound. The letters on the page are identical, but they refer to entirely different universes of reality.
The lazy person just wants the St. Vitus' dance to stop so the machine can power down.
Yes, they desire an absence of friction. The thinker, however, desires the peace that comes from awakening to reality, regardless of the friction it causes.
That's a huge difference.
Huge. And to tell the difference between the ghost and the genuine article, Mamardashvili suggests we must cultivate a specific emotional stance.
Which is?
He says you must learn to feel like a spy for an unknown homeland.
A spy for an unknown homeland.
Wow, that is incredibly evocative, but it definitely requires some unpacking.
Let's do it. A spy is someone who operates in an environment where they fundamentally do not belong, constantly aware that the rules of this place are not their rules.
Right. A spy must maintain a state of permanent detachment. If a spy forgets their true allegiance and starts believing the propaganda of the country they are infiltrating, they are lost.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mamardashvili is suggesting that to survive the mechanical world, you must cultivate a profound sense of nostalgia and alienation from the immediate, noisy environment around you.
So when society hands me the prepackaged answer, when the career counselor says, just get this internship, pad your resume, and you'll feel secure, I have to look at that advice with the cold, detached eye of a spy.
Yes.
I have to recognize that this answer belongs to the mechanical plane. It's the local currency of a foreign country.
You must remember that your true homeland, the domain of genuine, authentic thought, is unknown to you, but you know it doesn't speak in cliches. If you feel perfectly at home in the jargon, if the expectations of society fit you like a warm glove and cause no internal friction, you are almost certainly dealing with Simulacra.
The ghost has you.
The ghost has you. But if you feel a strange, lingering alienation, a persistent sense that the words you are supposed to say don't quite align with the architecture of your soul, then you are beginning to spot the ghosts.
Let's lean into that feeling. So I'm operating as the spy. I'm sitting in the coffee shop looking at my laptop, and I suddenly realize the entire path I've charted out for my life is just a sequence of simulacra.
Okay, you see through it.
The words I'm using to describe my goals are empty. The chair is full of ghosts. So I clear them out. I sweep the jargon off the table.
What happens next?
Yeah, what happens next? If all of that was an illusion, what does a real, authentic thought actually feel like when it arrives? Does it, like, announce itself?
This is the critical turning point in Mamardashvili's philosophy. We are transitioning from the dense fog of societal illusions into the stark light of actual realization.
Okay, I'm ready.
And he describes the shift not as a mathematical equation being solved, but through the aesthetics of thought.
The aesthetics.
Yes. He argues that genuine thought is fundamentally an event. It is something that happens to you, and it carries a very specific, undeniable emotional signature.
The phrase translated from the sources is piercing, sweet melancholy clarity.
Yes.
Really need to pause on that because it defies the way we usually talk about intellectual discovery.
It does.
We usually talk about eureka moments, you know, like a light bulb turning on, accompanied by a burst of triumph and happiness.
Yeah.
We think of finding the truth as winning a prize.
Right, a very positive emotion.
But piercing sweet melancholic clarity sounds heavy.
Right.
It sounds like something that costs you something.
It costs you your illusions, which is why it cannot be purely happy. Mamardashvili refers to this moment as the spark of God.
The spark of God.
And he is meticulous in pointing out that this spark is completely divorced from our standard metric of happiness. This profound joy of thought can occur in moments of sheer devastation during intense physical pain, in the wake of a tragedy, or in the despair of unrequited love.
Wow.
The joy does not stem from the circumstance being pleasant. The joy stems entirely from the sudden, unvarnished truth of the situation.
It's the joy of contact with reality, even if reality is jagged and cold.
Exactly. And he offers a stark, brilliant metaphor to illustrate this.
Let's hear it.
Imagine you are witnessing two bitter enemies locked in a fight to the death.
Okay.
They are tearing at each other, consumed by hatred. And suddenly, in a flash of pure insight, you realize that they are actually brothers.
Wow. You see the underlying truth of their connection.
You see it with absolute certainty. Now look at your position in this scenario. You cannot prove it to them.
Right.
You cannot step between them and stop the violence. You are completely powerless to alter the mechanical reality of their fight. It is a deeply tragic scene.
Yeah, totally powerless.
And yet, amidst that tragedy, you see the truth with naked clarity. There is a strange, transcendent joy in that moment of seeing.
That sweet melancholy clarity.
Exactly. You are no longer confused by the noise of their hatred. You are awake to the fundamental reality of their kinship.
I want to translate that metaphor into a modern visceral experience, because that dynamic finding truth in powerlessness is incredibly common.
It really is.
Think about a student or a young adult who experiences a catastrophic failure. Let's say you get fired from your first major job, or you go through a completely devastating, heart-wrenching breakup.
Sure.
The St. Vitus's dance of society immediately kicks in. Your phone lights up with texts from friends offering the simulacra.
Right, the scripts.
You're too good for them anyway. Their loss. The universe has a better plan for you. Everything happens for a reason.
The ghosts are trying to fill the chair to protect you from the pain.
Wait, no, I caught myself. The ghosts are trying to buffer the impact. But let's say you reject the buffer. You are sitting alone in your room at 3 a.m. The glow of the street lamp is coming through the blinds. You ignore the texts.
Okay.
And instead of accepting the comfortable lies, you experience this moment of piercing clarity. You look at the relationship and you realize, we didn't break up because of the universe.
Right.
We broke up because I was deeply selfish, or we broke up because we are fundamentally incompatible and no amount of effort was ever going to bridge that gap.
That's a hard truth.
It is agonizing to admit that. It is the sweet melancholy pain. But in that exact second, the floor stops shifting beneath you. You are breathing the cold, sharp air of reality.
Yes.
There's an undeniable foundational relief in just being awake to the truth. Even if the truth is that you failed, you are no longer haunting your own life. You are finally inhabiting it.
That is the exact mechanism of the spark. Beautifully put.
Thank you.
And what is vital to understand here is how Mamardashvili contrasts this naked truth with the realm of the artist.
Okay, how so?
He notes that the artist, the poet, the painter, the musician has intermediate compensations.
Meaning?
If an artist attempts to capture a profound truth about grief, but their insight is slightly flawed or clouded, they have tools to hide behind.
Oh.
They can employ a breathtaking rhyme scheme, a perfect metrical rhythm, or a stunning palette of colors. The artwork might still be deemed beautiful, and the artist receives the compensation of praise, even if the core truth was missed.
The aesthetics of the art can cover up the failure of the thought.
Precisely. But the thinker, the person attempting to live a genuinely conscious life,
Yeah.
they have no such safety nets. The thinker faces the naked, uncompensated truth. For the thinker, the stakes are absolute. It is all or nothing.
Wow.
If the thought is not true, if it is just a disguised simulacrum, there is no beautiful rhyme to save it.
Yeah.
There's only the silence of the void.
It reminds me of the sensation of waking up from a dream where you thought you were flying, only to realize you are lying flat on your mattress. The illusion was fun, but the mattress is real. When you touch base reality, it requires complete reorientation of how you exist.
It does.
Maintaining this authentic inner spark isn't about achieving a state of permanent zen or walking around with a serene smile. It sounds like it means choosing the friction of reality over the frictionless glide of the automated dance.
It is the deliberate choice of friction.
But this brings up a massive structural problem.
What's that?
If genuine thought is this profound reality-anchoring spark, and if it is the core of what makes us truly human, why is it so exceedingly rare?
That's the big question.
Why are we stuck in the mechanical dance 99% of the time? If my true homeland is this state of clarity, why is it so agonizingly difficult to just stay there?
Because, according to Mamardashvili, we are attempting to do something that violates the laws of physics.
Wait, what?
In the source material, he makes a shocking claim. He states that genuine human life, in the strict philosophical sense of conscious, truthful existence, is actually impossible.
Okay, I have to stop you. The word impossible means it cannot happen. Yet we are sitting here discussing the moments when it does happen. How can life be impossible if we are living it?
We have to define the parameters of the world we are operating in. When he says it is impossible, he is referring to the realm of nature.
Meaning the biological, physical, and societal machinery we've been calling the St. Vitus's dance.
Exactly. He argues that nature, in its mechanical state, does not spontaneously generate things like honor or justice or pure thought.
Right. A mountain does not have a sense of justice. A wolf pack does not debate the morality of the hunt. They operate on cause, effect, and survival.
And human society, functioning purely as a biological collective, operates much the same way. The natural state of the physical universe is entropy, mechanical routine, and the path of least resistance.
Okay, I follow.
Therefore, if a genuine act of honor occurs, if a human being steps outside of their self-interest and the societal script to execute a purely truthful thought, it is not a natural byproduct of their biology.
It's something else.
It is a miracle of effort. It is a metaphysical impossibility that the human being has somehow wrenched into existence against the crushing gravity of the mechanical world.
Wow. He uses a geometric thought experiment to explain this, drawing from Henri Poincaré.
He does, yes.
I want to spend some real time on this because when I wrapped my head around the geometry of it, it completely changed how I view my own decision-making process. Let's build the model.
Let's construct the plane. Imagine a universe that consists entirely of a flat, two-dimensional plane.
Okay.
Living on this plane are 2D creatures. They have length and width, but no height. Now, these creatures become philosophers. They want to understand the limits of their reality.
They want to find the edge of their universe so they can step outside it and look back at the truth of their existence.
Right. So they start walking outward from the center. They are explorers on the flat plane.
Got it.
They walk outward, and they bring their measuring sticks with them to record their progress. They are collecting data.
Sounds logical.
But there is a physical law governing their universe that they are entirely blind to. As they move away from the center of the plane toward the edge, the physical properties of their universe change.
Specifically, everything shrinks proportionally.
Yes. So the creature takes a step outward, and its body shrinks by 10%.
But crucially, the measuring stick it is holding also shrinks by 10%.
Exactly. Because the creature and the ruler are shrinking at the exact same proportional rate, the creature perceives no change whatsoever.
Right, a foot is still a foot on the ruler.
They take another step, they shrink further, they keep walking, they keep measuring, they keep logging the data in their ledgers. From their perspective, they are making massive progress across an infinite expanse.
But the tragic reality of their geometry is that they will never reach the edge.
Never.
The more they walk, the smaller they get, meaning the distance to the edge essentially approaches infinity. They can never see their reality from the outside just by accumulating more steps on the plane.
That's exactly right.
Let me map this onto a real human behavior, because I see this pattern everywhere.
Go for it.
Think about a person in their late 20s who is paralyzed by indecision about whether to marry their partner or break up. It is a massive, life-altering choice.
Absolutely.
They are desperate for the truth of what they should do. So what do? They act exactly like the 2D creatures.
They stay on the flat plane.
They stay on the flat plane of the mechanical world, and they start trying to measure their way to the edge. They make elaborate pro and con lists. They research divorce statistics.
Right.
They go to couples therapy to gather more communication data. They analyze the financial implications of a shared mortgage. They are walking outward, measuring the relationship with the shrinking ruler of empirical data.
And they believe that if they just gather enough data, the objective truth will magically reveal itself at the end of the ledger.
But the answer isn't on that plane.
No, it's not.
You cannot calculate your way to a revelation of love or the necessity of leaving. The data is infinite because the ruler keeps shrinking. Every new fact just creates a need for another fact.
Exactly.
To actually find the truth, they have to realize that walking outward on the mechanical plane is a trap. They have to transcend the plane entirely. They have to move into the third dimension.
The impossible dimension.
Right.
The realization that data collection is futile is what acts as the catalyst. The moment the 2D creature realizes their ruler is shrinking, the moment the adult realizes the spreadsheet cannot dictate their heart, they are forced to stop walking outward and look inward.
That's powerful.
If we rely on our natural instincts, our societal routines, or our endless accumulation of facts, genuine thought remains a mathematical impossibility.
So the impossible isn't a barrier. The impossible is the spark itself. It's the friction that forces us to change dimensions.
Mamardashvili ties this concept directly to a profound critique of the most common modern excuse. I cannot.
We use that one all the time.
Think about how often we use that phrase to justify our mechanical existence. We say, I cannot pursue my true calling because the economy is bad.
Or, I cannot speak up against the injustice in my workplace because I have a mortgage.
I cannot change my toxic behaviors because of my childhood trauma.
We point to the mechanical constraints of the 2D plane as proof that we are trapped. We blame the environment, the biology, the history.
We use the laws of nature as an alibi. But Mamardashvili aligns himself with the philosopher Descartes, who championed the fundamental, irreducible truth of I can.
I can.
Despite all biological programming telling us we are just chemical reactions, despite all societal conditioning molding us into compliant cogs, the human mind possesses this miraculous, impossible ability to step outside the machinery.
We really do.
We can take a genuine, free action that is entirely undictated by our past or our environment. We can drop the shrinking ruler.
I feel the weight of that. It strips away every excuse I have ever made for my own cowardice or complacency.
It's confronting.
If I have the capacity to say I can, then staying in the mechanical plane is a choice. But this forces us to confront the ultimate, terrifying, practical question. Which is? If we possess this miraculous ability to generate the impossible, to step into the third dimension of genuine thought, how do we actually execute it?
Yes.
How do we ground this lofty metaphysical philosophy into the concrete, unglamorous reality of a Tuesday morning when the alarm goes off, the inbox is overflowing, and the St. Vitus's dance is demanding my participation?
This is where we arrive at the culmination of the journey. The transition from the paralysis of confusion to the permanence of clarity.
Okay, how do we get there?
Mamardashvili argues that this transition is achieved through a mechanism he calls the heavy point of responsibility. But to understand how to drop this anchor, we first have to dissect a very subtle trap, the difference between intention and labor.
The sources spend a significant amount of time exploring the difference between empirically feeling a desire for good and the actualization of good. On the surface, those sound like the same thing. If I want to be a good person, isn't that enough?
It is definitively not enough, and assuming it is enough is the final trap of the simulacra.
Really?
Yes. Mamardashvili points out that feeling a vague, warm desire for justice or truth or goodness requires absolutely zero effort. It is a passive, empirical state.
Okay, I see.
Any deeply lazy, completely automated person can sit on their couch, watch a tragic news story, and feel a genuine empirical pang of sadness and a desire for world peace. Feeling a good intention is a biological reaction. It's part of the machinery.
It's the ghost of morality. I feel sad about the news, therefore I am a good person. The simulacrum pats me on the back.
Exactly. I mean, the logic holds perfectly. The empirical feeling is the ghost. The actualization of good, however, the process of bringing truth or justice into the physical reality of the world, requires what Mamardashvili calls art or labor.
You actually have to do something.
It requires you to break a sweat in the spiritual sense. If we only rely on our good intentions, we fall victim to a phenomenon known as infinite regress.
Infinite regress. The endless chain of deferring action. The perpetual tomorrow.
It is the psychological equivalent of a mirage that keeps receding as you walk toward it.
Like the student saying, I know I need to confront my procrastination, and I have a really strong intention to do so. I will start being disciplined next semester.
Exactly. Or the citizen saying, I would be a much more generous, active member of my community if the political system were structured differently, or if I had a higher salary.
You're infinitely deferring your existence to a future moment, or a set of external conditions that will never perfectly align.
Never.
You are standing on the edge of the dance floor, watching the St. Vitus to dance and telling yourself, I'll step in and stop the music just as soon as the song changes.
But the song never changes.
The machinery doesn't care about your intentions.
The machinery will outlast your intentions every single time, which is precisely why Mamardashvili introduces the concept of the heavy point.
The heavy point.
Yes, to move from the fog of good intentions into the clarity of actual existence, you must stop the endless deferral. You have to drop a heavy, immovable anchor into the present moment.
Okay.
A genuine thought or a genuine moral choice cannot be a floating abstraction. It must become a heavy point of mass that stops the infinite drift of your excuses.
I want to build out a highly specific, uncomfortable scenario for this, because dropping the heavy point is rarely glamorous.
Please do.
Imagine you're sitting in a diner with a group of friends you've known for years. You value this group. They are your social safety net.
Right.
Suddenly, the conversation turns, and one of your friends makes a remarkably cruel, targeted joke about someone who isn't there, or perhaps expresses a genuinely toxic prejudice. You feel the empirical desire for good. Your internal alarm goes off. You know it's wrong. You have the intention to object.
The biological machinery has registered the friction.
Right. But then the infinite regress begins. You sit there, staring at your coffee cup, and the simulacra flood your brain.
And here they come.
I don't want to ruin the vibe of the dinner. Maybe I'll just pull them aside later and talk privately. Someone else will probably say something. I'm sure they didn't mean it the way it sounded.
Excuses.
You are floating. You are a ghost observing the scene. Your intention to be a good person is entirely insulated from the reality of the room.
You are allowing the mechanical rhythm of social conformity to override your internal spark.
So the step-by-step shift to clarity requires you to drop the heavy point. It requires you to recognize that your warm, fuzzy feeling of being a good, tolerant person is an absolute illusion until it is backed by the excruciating labor of a present tense choice.
Yes.
Dropping the heavy point means putting your coffee cup down, clearing your throat, interrupting the mechanical rhythm of the laughter, and saying aloud, hey, that is not okay and we shouldn't talk like that.
Look at what happens in that moment. It is terrifying. It shatters the social autopilot. It introduces massive friction into the environment.
Huge friction.
But it anchors your thought into reality. By speaking the words, you have dragged your internal truth out of the void and given it physical weight in the real world.
The heavy point means accepting that if you do not anchor your honor or your truth here and now, it simply does not exist.
It does not exist.
I cannot tell myself I will be a brave person tomorrow. I am either brave right now in the discomfort of this diner booth, or I am not brave at all.
It forces the impossible into reality. And this connects so profoundly to the aesthetics of thought we discussed earlier.
How so?
The joy of thought, that piercing, sweet, melancholy clarity, is generated exclusively by this labor. When you plant that heavy point, you are no longer the screaming squirrel trapped inside the machine.
Right.
You have seized the controls. In that agonizing moment of speaking up, despite the social cost, you become the active architect of your own existence. You have transcended the flat 2D plane of societal expectation.
It is like the difference between reading 100 books on marathon training and actually running the first mile.
Oh, absolutely.
Reading the books gives you the intention. You can buy the expensive shoes, you can map out the route on your phone, you feel like a runner. But it's a simulacrum.
It's a ghost.
The heavy point is the cold, dark, miserable moment at 5 a.m. when your alarm goes off. And instead of hitting snooze, the infinite regress, your feet actually hit the freezing floorboards.
That's the moment.
That physical shock, that labor, is the only place where the reality of the runner actually exists.
That physical shock is the spark of life. Mamardashvili is demanding that we treat our intellectual and moral lives with that exact same rigor. You must hit the floorboards of your own consciousness every single day.
This has been an incredibly dense, heavy journey. Let me attempt to trace the arc of what we've uncovered.
Let's hear it.
We started by diagnosing the terrifying baseline of our reality, the St. Vitus's dance, the mechanical, automated routine where our bodies perform the rituals of life while our souls are entirely absent. We learned how the brain protects its energy by inviting ghosts, simulacra, and societal cliches to sit in the chair of our minds, replacing genuine inquiry with prepackaged jargon.
We moved from the physical dance to the psychological illusion.
We then explored what it actually feels like to wake up. We confronted the aesthetic of the spark, the sweet melancholy, piercing clarity of seeing the unvarnished truth, like recognizing two fighting enemies as brothers.
The spark of God.
Right. And we realized that finding this truth is impossible if we stay on the 2D plane of data collection and mechanical instinct. We had to transcend the I cannot and embrace the miraculous I can.
Step off the plane.
And finally, we learned that the only way to materialize this impossible reality is through labor, by stopping the infinite regress of our good intentions and violently dropping a heavy point of responsibility into the present moment.
It is a philosophy that offers absolutely no comfort, but it offers something far more valuable: reality. It tells us that despite the crushing, automated machinery of modern life, the spark is always accessible to us, provided we are willing to endure the friction of the labor.
Wow.
But as we bring this deep dive to a close, there is one final, lingering historical reality drawn from the source material that I want to leave on the table.
I'm bracing myself. What is it?
Mamardashvili notes a consistent, grim pattern throughout human history. Bearing the fire of genuine thought, maintaining that internal spark, has almost always been treated by society as a fundamentally dangerous act.
Really?
Look at the ancient philosophers, the mystics, the individuals who truly dropped the heavy point. They were routinely exiled, imprisoned, forced to drink hemlock, or crucified.
Because they were a threat to the machinery.
A profound threat. A person who is genuinely awake, a person who refuses to operate on autopilot and systematically dismantles the societal simulacra, creates friction. They are a glitch in the matrix of the St. Vitus's dance. People, institutions, and societies desperately do not want their mechanical sleep interrupted. They want the dance to continue smoothly.
So when you wake up,
you become an irritant to the sleep of everyone around you.
that reframes the entire experience of feeling like an outsider.
Yeah.
It's not a bug, it's a feature of the process.
Exactly.
So to you, the listener, navigating the sheer weight of everything we've unpacked today, the next time you are sitting in a crowded room or a lecture hall or a corporate meeting and someone offers a smooth, easy, pre-packaged cliché to solve a complex human problem,
The ghost in the chair.
and you refuse to accept it, the next time you feel that heavy, cold, nostalgic alienation pressing down on your chest because you cannot force yourself to speak the jargon, consider this.
Yes.
Consider that this agonizing feeling of isolation isn't a symptom of failure. It isn't a sign that you are broken or lost. It might be the exact undeniable proof that perhaps for the very first time in a long time, you are truly awake.